Jesus told a story, and the story went something like this. He said in Luke chapter 12, he said, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. And he thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." And he says, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and I'll build bigger ones." Yeah, that's the ticket. "And there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, self, you have plenty. You have plenty stored up for yourself, laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool. This very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up for themselves but is not rich toward God." You know, Jesus talked a lot about how hard it was for a rich person to get into heaven. And I know many of us are like, okay, whew, sigh of relief because I ain't rich. I guarantee if I said, how many of you in here are rich? Nobody would raise their hand because we don't think of ourselves as rich. But the reality is that compared to the people Jesus was talking to, compared to every person that's ever lived on the face of this earth throughout all of history, and certainly compared to about 99.9% of the people who live in this world today, almost every single person in here is filthy rich. By every standard that we could measure, we have so much. And so Jesus was actually talking about us, and he said it's hard for us as rich people to get into heaven. Why was that? Is it because Jesus thought being rich was bad? I don't think so. In fact, if you look at this story and you see the rich man, he's not condemned because he's rich. In fact, he's a farmer. He's a hard worker. He's doing some really good stuff, right? He is providing grain to all the surrounding countryside and the people. He's doing good things. Is he condemned because he has a lot? No. Is he condemned because he got this huge crop and he's able to store all that grain away? No, not at all. In fact, that huge crop was from God. That was a blessing from God. That was something that he should enjoy and be blessed with. Was he condemned because he had a barn? No, not at all. There's nothing wrong with a barn. There's nothing even wrong with him having to build a bigger barn. You see, the problem in this story isn't a riches problem. The problem in this story is a heart problem. And here's what Jesus knew. Jesus knew that he's not worried about eternity. He's worried about here and now and just gathering as much as he can and hoarding as much as he can, because all he really wants is to finally get to a place where he doesn't have to work and he can eat, drink, be merry. He can travel. He can retire. He can get the motor home he always wanted. He can get that vacation home he always wanted. He can get the bigger home. He can make the home that he's in look nicer. He can travel more. He can get Disney passes finally because they keep raising the prices so high. He can do all these things. And again, there's nothing wrong with those individual things, but what Jesus was saying, when that's the main goal of your life, when that's what you really think about and that's what you're going for constantly, then it might be a problem. As Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15:32, he said, if the dead are not raised, okay, if there's nothing after this life, then let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. But if there is an infinitely valuable God, and if there is a life after this, then a life that's consumed with that is deadly to us.